Morning, everybody. Just thought I'd come on this morning because I've been sent some links this morning which are fascinating. Actually, I'm very interested in, as you all know. All right, very close friend, associate, brother. All right, a veteran, David Swift, on Friday or Thursday it was. Thursday was sectioned under the Mental Health Act, 1983. All right, and he was sectioned under Section 2. And Section 2 of the Mental Health Act, it stipulates that anybody with, I'm just going to go into it now actually just to read what it says. What it says is anybody with mental disorder, all right, it can be actually sectioned, or if you actually, they feel that you're going to be a harm to yourself or you're going to harm somebody else, all right, they can actually section you for assessment. And yeah, I've been supporting Dave through this period, and it's been heartbreaking actually, because every time you go to the hospital, you get to understand how the system works and how the assessments are done. And the biggest thing I've found is David's been given medication while he's there, and he's going through an assessment on Monday. But the assessment on Monday is going to be done via Zoom. Some of the people enter by Zoom because of COVID, all right? And people are going to be assessing Dave when he's had medication prescribed to him. And this is where I'm really finding hard, because to assess somebody, they've got to be in the right frame of mind. They've got to be, at the end of the day, their mind should have no mind-altering substances in their body, which is going to alter the way the mind is from what they usually are. All right, and mental disorder, or it's anything where the mind, at the end of the day, it's a word that I'm looking at it now for it, because everybody's got a mental disorder when it comes to stress, when we haven't got money, or when we struggling with money, when we struggling with relationships and change. All right, so we can all have a mental disorder. So that one's gone out the window. David, is he a harm to himself? Well, I don't think he is, and David's David. What I've seen of David over the last few days and what he posts is David. All right, David is a bubbly character. But mental health, although it was Mental Health Awareness Week last week, mental health has still got a stigma, two of the powerfulest words. And what you've got to understand is, when I was younger, and I'm 48 years of age, when I was younger, mental health was seen as, people, we used to say, oh, they don't fit in with our narrative, they don't fit in with society, something wrong with them. I was in a class of 4 or 5 kids, and I struggled to read. I struggled with my grammar. I struggled in school, and I always remember being put in a caravan, and we called it the reading club, and we would go along, and everybody looked down on. It felt like everybody looked down on us, all right, all my friends and everything, because we were different. And it seems because people are different, individuals are different, that we can use a tool, mental health, and they've got a mental health problem. And that is still here today. That stigma is still here today. All right, and if you don't fit in with the narrative society, then you can be locked away. It's wrong. If you speak out, you could be locked away. People have different experiences and knowledge in life. Nobody is the same. That's why we're individuals. Human beings are individuals. For an assessment to be undertaken, how can somebody who doesn't even know me assess me? How does, and 3 people are going to do an assessment on David on Monday. And I'm using David's case because this is where it's highlighted it to me. So over the weekend, he's got the nurses, he's on a ward, he's been given medication, and nurses, individuals who don't even know David, are watching him. Some may be engaging with him, but they're watching him. They're watching what he's doing. They're watching his mannerisms, and they're putting a report together. So on Monday, they can sit down with doctors and say, this is what we've seen, boom, boom, boom. And then the decision's made by the psychiatric doctors whether to keep the person longer. But what the biggest thing that really gets me, you're giving somebody medication. People react different to medication. It's a mind-altering substance. It's like alcohol is a mind-altering substance. Certain foods can be to the person. So at no time has any of the family members or any of his friends been contacted and said, can we do an assessment on David? What are you seeing? What is he like? What's his characteristics like? What he's a character, what is he like? Because what I've seen of Dave is Dave's Dave. All right. Love him or lump him. Some people love him. Some people don't like the way he is. But hey, who are we to judge? Just because he doesn't fit people's expectations or perception of how somebody should act. We shouldn't judge people. Judgment is it's an horrible thing. When you go into judgment, you're going into the negative and positive. I'll use negative and positive. You're going into negative emotions once you start judging people. All right. Once you start going to your own beliefs or the beliefs of a government or the beliefs of a society, then we're actually in a negative stance. All right. We've got to seek the truth, and we've actually got to notice what's going on. We've got to seek the truth. And the truth is, David's got a big heart. He's a bubbly personality. He suffers emotions like the rest of us. All right. And sometimes he put a front on and hide them. But that's what we all do. I do it all the time. If you see me from time to time, you could probably say, ooh, he needs to be sectioned. Some people would probably see some of the videos I do, and when I'm calling out, I would say, ooh, he needs sectioning. However, I've done a lot of research, and my experience and knowledge has allowed me to speak out like I am. Only and if I told you some of my experiences in life, you would think I'm mad as a hatter. But in my experiences, it's my knowledge. Okay? And I have got the people around me to back it up. So sometimes you've got to use everything. And when you do a risk assessment, you use all the tools in your arsenal to get to to get the bigger picture. And that doesn't seem to be happening at the moment, especially in the mental health area of the world. We all talk about mental health, but do we all talk about it? Are we all happy to put our heads above the parapet and say what's going on is wrong? Because we've got an individual being held at the moment, his nearest relative. There's two terms under the Mental Health Act 1983. The nearest relative, that's the most important. Then you've got the next of kin. I am down as the next of kin, and his nearest relative is his common law wife. The nearest relative is the one with the power. Okay, we have to put a letter in now to actually, we've put a letter in to the mental health board, which he sits under at the moment, for discharge, and we've got 72 hours before the doctor replies to us. So David, in the next 72 hours, is going to have more medication, and he's going to be assessed, all right, by individuals who don't know David, by individuals who are just observing, all right. However, David's in an environment where his emotions can be running wild now, because he's been locked up, he's locked in a cage. They didn't give him razors in the first day. I took razors down to him, I took soap down to him. You know, he didn't have clean clothes when he got in there. And when he approached and asked, there was nothing there. There was, you know, the staff have been brilliant. The staff have been brilliant, but it's been heartbreaking. It's been heartbreaking because he looks like a lab rat. All right, and I go down there to talk to him and keep him going. He's been using social media, and the support he's had off social media has been absolutely excellent. But if he didn't have that, I wouldn't like to say where he would be. All right, and there is individuals in there who, yeah, their mental health must be getting worse. But I want to show you a video, because this is the clip I had sent to me, and this is true. So if you think I'm talking baloney, if you think I'm talking crap, please listen to this man here. I'm going to share this with you because it does need to be looked at. We need to ask questions, and we all need to come together. And it's being used, I believe it's being used in the wrong context, because there is people out there who really need it. But when you go into these mental health units, they haven't got enough staff there. I saw a girl yesterday. It broke my heart. So she was lost. I just wanted to go over. I just wanted to hug her and sit with her and see what was going on in her mind, because you could see her looking lost, and you could see her battling her emotions. And if you've battled your emotions, you'll understand where I'm coming from. All right. And we sat there, and there was 3 of us there, and David's other half turned around, and she works in this area as well, and both of us got emotional looking at it. You know, we said the same things.
We've travelled a lot, and we've had lots of different friends and cultures, and because I do photography,
Yeah.
I've used that socially, and I've used it to actually do a newsletter photo,
Yeah.
and I get invited to the dinner for free. So I spent a lot of time in London doing that, and it's actually got me in with the Queen of Denmark's dinner in London when she came on
Yeah.
her birthday dinner. We was invited and went, and we enjoyed it a lot.
And the
When-
pictures, of course.
Yeah, when I mentioned it to someone, I actually got asked to go and be tested to be sectioned for suggesting that I'd actually mixed with royalty. This is the perception of people.
But they thought you're mad.
Yeah, this is serious. They was going to put me in a mental home for saying it. And when I turned up for this, the guy said to me, "You do know why you're here?"
A doctor, right?
Yeah.
You're talking to a doctor.
And I said, "Well, yeah." I said, because somebody thinks that I couldn't possibly be like invited to a royal event, you know.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well," I said, "Well, why do you believe that?" I went, "Well, because I have been." He went, "Oh, you believe it yourself?" And I went, "Well, yeah, I do believe. Yes, I believe it." And he went, "Oh, and you would have some evidence of that, would you?" And I went, "Well, I've got 1,000 photographs of me being in the presence
Just
of
imagine,
the
of course,
Queen."
From your imagination.
Yeah, and I said, I have the invitation. I brought it all with me. I said, I have the invitation. I said, if the person that sent me here asked to look at any of this, they would have seen it themselves. I said, this is the invitation. And he sort of looked a little bit shook. And then I said, and this is a letter of recommendation from the organisation saying how useful I've been to their organisation, and thank you very much. And he just scribbled all the book out and sent me on my way. But how can we have these real strong misconceptions of what you're looking at?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not dressed in my tuxedo today, and I'm in my jeans and t-shirt doing the garden.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I haven't got a tuxedo in the cupboard that I use once a year.
Yeah.
So these things are very odd. How people just get these strange ideas. It's bonkers. It's bonkers.
Just by looking.
Just by looking, or asking a friend, or looking where you live. Even, you know, they look where you live. And go, "Oh no, we'd have a mansion if you went to that."
Yeah.
Well, no, I've saved up for 6 months for the train ticket and enjoy the night. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's those sort of things.
So
We've travelled a lot.
that is courtesy of March for Veterans. All right, and it just shows it happens. All right, we've got law, because the Mental Health Act is law. All right, 1983, and it's just a tool, a weapon. Unfortunately, all right, a lot of people in psychology, psychiatric counseling, therapy, a lot of them have gone into that industry because they've either had traumas in their family or they've had traumas, all right, and they've suffered through traumas and seen people ill-treated. So they come in, and a lot of people are good at giving advice, but not good at looking inside. There's a lot of broken people within the mental health fraternity, within the establishment. And then we've got them assessing other people, and because you don't fit into their narrative, or not in somebody's perception of you and their expectations of how you should be or how you should perform, you can be locked away like a lab rat. Is that right? Should we be doing that? For a long time I didn't, for 30 odd years, I didn't understand emotion, didn't understand feelings, didn't understand my thoughts, how my mind worked, how my mind and my body interacts. All right, it's took me a long time, and I've had to sit down and really dig deep, and I'm no way over it, and I'll never ever be over it. But I've got the tools and techniques to manage where I am. I know who I am. I know who Clive Spencer is, because I've done the work. And it's sad when I can sit down and look at it and go, that's wrong. I could either sit back and say nothing and be like everybody else. Doesn't affect me. I don't want to say anything. But then get saddened when you see you might lose another person, or get saddened when you see somebody suffering. All right. Today we use words like sharing is caring. We must all come together, unite. But what do them words really mean to you? Because I don't see people sharing, caring. A lot of people. There's a minority. We've got to come together and unite. The only way, for the people who talk up about suicide, for people to talk up about what's going on with the mental health. The mental health, if you listen to the government, they say mental health is great. We're excellent. Talk to the nurses. Talk to the nurses where they're understaffed. They haven't got the facilities because the increase we've had, especially through COVID. But before COVID, people can be seen as complex. Complex because we haven't got the staff, we haven't got the people to help them. And there's a lot of posts coming on you, and I agree. Reminds me of those, Bob said, reminds me of those TV shows in the 90s when patronizing 20-something psychology graduates were advising parents how to raise their children. Exactly, Bob. Exactly. Unless you've experienced it and got knowledge yourself, and it's a learning curve. We shouldn't actually be boxing people. Everybody's an individual, and that's what's so beautiful about life. And we all suffer. We all need to accept that mental health it's just your mental well-being. It's just like a cold on your body. Unfortunately, because it's misunderstood, because it's not understood, everybody overanalyzes it. And then you have psychologists with PhDs. They're all arguing as well. And they're all arguing because they've all got theories. Everybody's got theories. And the theories become, let's keep it simple, because we're talking on simple terms. We've got over 25 labels for different moods, like ADHD, OCD, behavioral. You've got a lot of behavioral disorders and personality disorders. There's over 25. And I can tell you now, depending on what mood I'm in, depending on where I am, what my life stress is, I've probably hit every one of them disorders one time or another in 30 years. And yeah, it's why are we labeling everything? Everything's got to have a label on it. It's got to be stacked on the shelf. Are we in a society where mental health is actually OCD itself? But then we've got the medication, the pharmaceutical industry. We give everybody drugs. However, we ban drugs as well, don't we? So, potentially we're giving a lot of people who take alcohol, a lot of people who take marijuana, speed, cocaine, crack. And I was talking to somebody yesterday. What they've done, they've used the substances to avoid their emotions. They've become a habit. It's like when a doctor prescribes somebody with depression, they give them firstly tablets. But what you've just done, you've legalized them to be reliant on drugs to avoid their emotions instead of actually looking at their emotions, looking at their thought processes and feeling, looking at their feelings, emotions and thought process. You've actually legalized them to become drug addicts because over time, they've got to rely on them drugs you've just prescribed them instead of actually doing some work through and actually teaching people about mental health. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I've had depression. All right. I've tried to commit suicide many times. I took alcohol, drugs to suppress my emotions. I used sex. I used porn. I use food. I use work. I've used so many things to avoid what's going on inside. Today, I don't use any of them. Now and again, I'll use a couple because I'm not perfect. All right. But I don't use the hard stuff anymore. I don't go to the hostile environments. I put my life on the line and help other people to avoid my emotions. Today, I sit with myself. I use the tools and techniques I've been taught by a beautiful woman. Okay, Sophie Savage. She taught me how to connect with myself, how to get in my power, how to notice where I am, how to notice when I'm in the negative area of life, when my stresses are getting the best of me. And they call it a life wobble, where you, in a conversation's going wild and it creates so much fear in there. All right. And you're overwhelmed. It's like the analogy I use is it's like a pressure cooker. So the pressure cooker, you put it on the stove, you put the water in, and as the water gets warmer and you start adding stuff in, it starts over spilling. And that's what happens with our emotions. If we do not clear them emotions out, we do not turn the actual gas down, the heat down, or we do not take out the substance inside we've added into that steam cooker, it'll soon overflow. And if you keep it going and you don't take action, you don't turn down the heat, you don't get out the actual substance within the actual, and it could be your emotions, what happens? It goes bang. All right. So please, we need to look at mental health from a different aspect. We all suffer it. we shouldn't be using it as a tool and techniques to shut people up. Individuals are individuals. If somebody's suffering with a mental well-being, we need to start looking at the individual and having a look at the traumas, because a lot of the traumas are picked up from childhood. And that pressure cooker has got all them traumas in from your childhood, which we've never addressed. And then you have added other traumas, adding other traumas into the actual pressure cooker. The traumas from your childhood sink to the bottom, but they always come to the top every now and again. More often, a lot of times. And the traumas you're having in your environment on the day all of a sudden get triggered, and then the trauma from the bottom comes to the top, the surface, and it makes everything even more worse. All right? So that's my allergy. So, you know, we need to look at this. We need to stop using a law as a weapon to shut people up. People need to change the assessment process. The people who need the help, we need to get them the help. It's not hard. It is a way it can be done. But governments love debt society. Governments love societies that create money. Money is created by people in a bad place. Money, think about how many people are on tablets for mental health. It's a $1 trillion industry across the world, okay? And we're legalizing people to become drug addicts because a lot of people rely on their depression tablets now, and it's to suppress their emotions. We need to have a change, all right? And that's all I'm going to say, because you've seen the video there. It is used as a tool. That gentleman's life experiences, he shared his life experiences with somebody, and he was asked to go in to be assessed under the Mental Health Act 1983 because he went to a dinner. He was asked to go to a dinner. He was asked to talk, and he was asked to do a talk on his experience and his knowledge with the royal family. And when he shared his experience to somebody, that person's perception questioned him. Their expectations questioned him. And they said he must be mad. He can't have anything to do with royal family. Look at him. I've met royal family. You'll see it on my post, on my wall. My wall is open. Duke of Edinburgh. I've seen him many times, spoke with him. Unfortunately, he's not with us today. Absolute gentleman. All right. Yeah, the Queen. Met the Queen many times. But does that make me mad? You know, it's people's perception, expectations. If you don't fit their narrative, you can be called mad. And that's where the person, judgment is a negative. Judgment leads to drama, belief, demands, anger, frustration. You can struggle with decisions. All right. You need to move into the area of noticing where we are in life, noticing what's going on. All right. Seeking the truth, choosing what you want to do. We use words today that I have to, I will, I shall. They're words that I can't. They're words that are negative. Just choose. All right. Everybody, love you. Have a beautiful Sunday. All right. Dave is good. All right. Dave is Dave. We've asked him to come off a little bit to social media because he woke up this morning, spoke to Dave this morning. He woke up this morning, and if you've seen his live feed, he's even saying he's stepping back a little bit. If you want to know anything, you can phone the hospital or you can phone me direct. All right, I'm down as a next of kin. I'm in contact with the nearest relative. I'm in contact with Dave. Some people have phoned Dave as well, and he picks up. So, look, Dave woke up this morning with 200 plus messages, and he said to me, Clive, how do I answer all these messages? And I said, Dave, you can choose to answer the messages. And he's overwhelmed. Thank you very much for the support. Thank you very much for everything you're doing. And I just wanted to share that. Thank you very much for listening and engaging. Bob, thank you. I can't see all the names because it only says Facebook user. I'll go on to Facebook and I'll reply. All right. I love you all. Take care. And just remember to chill out, have some time for yourself. That's what I'm doing today. It's just, I weren't going to do a social, but I've done it just to get my thoughts out there, chucking them out there. I am. All right. I love you all. Have a good day. Bye.